Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Doom Productions podcast, a podcast hosted by Doom Productions. I'm Jordan,
I'm Ethan.
I'm Zach.
and we are on Zoom again this week. No, there's no special interview today. If you listen to our last interview or our last episode, we interviewed Merdul all the way down in Australia. So we did it over Zoom, which I think it went pretty well. I was surprised at the quality of the microphones just on Zoom.
Yeah, it was
Like
pretty nice.
it wasn't perfect, but it was actually a lot better than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And so Ethan has been out with the flu, and I mean, the way he got the flu is pretty impressive. You want to tell the folks the story?
I work with children, and
Oh.
children's are just vectors of disease.
Well, I mean, I thought I was leading you to make up a story about how you like battled a bear in the woods and you saved a little girl, and in the cold you got. Never mind. We'll move on. Anyways, Ethan's sick, and so we're doing this Zoom style. So hopefully, apologies for the, I guess, if you can't stand the audio quality of Zoom, we're sorry, but what else can we do? We needed to record today, so. But today is a special episode because it's our last look at 2022, sort of a retrospective, if you will, of our year here at Doom Productions, of looking back and looking ahead, talking movies that we've seen, movies we've made, all that sort of thing. So it's kind of our end of the year wrap up video and podcast all in one. So yeah, I'm excited. This is the video I think I look forward to making every single year the most.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's fun to look back at your accomplishments, I think, in general. And
it's a pretty fun year.
Yeah. And we've done quite a bit this year. So I guess my first question to you two, is when you look back at this year, 2022, I mean, what's the big thing for you that sticks out as a filmmaker?
I finished The Bell Rings.
Finished The Bell Rings.
After 1 year of post-production.
1 year of post-productions. Yes. And what about, I mean, does Bell Rings just eclipse everything else? Because that came out in August, so you still had like 4 months post Bell Rings.
Oh yeah, I didn't do anything after the Bell Rings. Okay, it didn't eclipse everything. I got married after that, so I had a wedding to plan. Which,
yeah,
in a lot of ways, it's very similar to making a movie, but it's just like way more stressful.
Yeah.
I'll take planning a movie over planning a wedding any day.
There's a lot of things that are more stressful than making a movie, even though filmmakers, we like to complain about making movies sometimes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, The Bell Rings was just a ton of fun. And it felt very nice to finally be able to get the movie out to the people. So, and also just to get it off my plate.
Yeah.
It took a long time. I'd never worked on something that long and finished it. So
yeah, it's a big accomplishment. And that, I mean, we've kind of, I don't want to beat a dead horse because we've talked about The Bell Rings a whole bunch this year. I think what was so special for me with The Bell Rings was the kind of the whole release of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the slow build up to its release, because we shot it last 2 summers ago now.
Yeah.
Edited for over that year or however long, and that fun kind of screening we had in Yakima was
really great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was just such a great way to release it. I mean, I know it was released the day before for publicly, but it was fun for us to see it on the big screen. I think that was definitely, for me, it was kind of like the perfect send off for the movie to go out into the world.
Especially getting to see it with alongside other filmmakers as well was really cool too.
Yeah.
and just getting to have that experience. I
Yeah.
think that was really cool for me, and I wasn't even the one who made the movie. So
We were glad to have you there, and all the
Yeah.
other filmmakers there. It was really cool because I mean, a lot of them are people we've known or we've known for a while, or we've known in the online space. It was cool to kind of. It felt like a sequel to the folk filmmaker meetup in 2021, but
Mhm.
in a way, like it almost felt bigger, even though the travel wasn't quite as far and tiring.
Right. I think that was the other thing too about that Yakima screen was it was like getting to finally meet some of the Yakima folks face to face. I mean, I think
Yeah.
in 2021 we met Caleb and Nathan from RC Films, and I can't remember, did we meet the Grannon girls in 2021 or 2022 for the first time? I can't remember
I
exactly.
think it might have been 2022,
Might have been this year.
but I maybe some online correspondence happened before, but
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah,
we met in person until.
this year.
But that one's a little foggy. I don't remember.
It's foggy. Well, it's been, it feels, for whatever reason, I mean, it's so much easier for me to visualize 2021 than 2022 because I feel like in 2021 there was like distinct periods in Doomed Productions. Like the first part of that year was Video Carnage, then it
Yeah.
was filming Wild Boys and Bell Rings, and then it was Two Little Ghosts for a little bit. And there were all these people we were meeting because we did a bunch of interviews with, I mean, we did a lot interviews with a lot of different filmmakers that year.
Yeah.
Over online, and we met a lot of filmmakers that year, and we even did the whole meetup with everybody, and it felt like a very busy year. And so when looking back in 2022, I mean, we still did stuff, but it felt a little less busy in a way, if that makes sense. I don't know if you two agree with that.
I think it just felt more localized in terms of
Mhm.
like we weren't literally stretching out so far in terms of
Mhm.
like distance.
Right.
And that made it feel a little less, I guess, chaotic. Like
Mhm.
there wasn't as many big things to plan for,
Right.
but I don't know. There was still plenty going on,
Right. Yeah,
but it was
but
fun.
no, totally. And to go back to the point about the Granny Girls, I mean, getting to meet Kate and Brooke and Vanessa over there, getting to hang out with them. I mean, I think we met up with them a couple times this over this last year, not
Mhm.
counting the Yakima trip. Um, so kind of expanding our network of filmmaker friends, but also, before I totally forget, shout out to Josh Bailey and Liam James Fitch, who
Mhm.
are other local
Mhm.
filmmakers that I think we finally connected with this year.
Yeah.
So that's another, I don't know. It's like when I look back, and I know I just said I feel like 2021 was more busy, but it's like, well, now that I think about it, it's like, oh, wait a minute, we met a lot of local people this year. Um, so that's, yeah, a lot of, yeah, just so many good like filmmaker folks in the area. I guess you're right, very localized this year.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Zach, what when you look back at this year, what do you think of in terms of what stands out filmmaking wise to you? Because
Well,
you made, sorry to cut you off, you released two movies this year, and
mhm.
you worked on another two. Well, okay, your movie Wild Boys 2 was released this year, shot last year
Yeah.
but released this year.
Mhm.
You filmed and released Wild Boys 3 this year, and you worked on Coalescence this year, which is yet to be released. So
Mhm.
which of those stands out the most to you, or is there kind of, does it all kind of blend together for you?
It it kind of blends together, but they also have very separate and distinct experiences to me, because for Wild Boys, particularly with two and three both kind of in this area, it was really cool when working on two, kind of solidifying, okay, here's the direction that we want to go for the rest of the series, and then setting that in motion with 3 was really cool to get that ball rolling with certain plot points and MacGuffins and stuff like that. But with Coalescence, it was much more of a really trying to push myself in various ways in regards to how much I could handle. And in many ways, I don't know if that was the best idea. But at the same time, I feel like that's what I've learned the most from. Just because I worked with such a large cast, and I'm still working with a large cast on that one, since if you've been listening to the podcast on previous episodes, I had been saying for quite some time that Coalescence was on hold. We have resumed filmmaking, and it is going very well so far. So that has been very much a great challenge and learning experience that has been a lot of fun and simultaneously very stressful.
Yeah.
But that kind of is the nature of the beast that we work with. So
yeah. And it's also like, I mean, not to, because we haven't talked too much about Coalescence, just because it hasn't been made yet. We've talked a little bit about it, but when I think about Coalescence, I think about like the awesome locations you had access to.
Yeah, we were very blessed with that. That was really cool.
I don't want to spoil any locations, but the way, can we say where I'm not going to reveal what they are in the film, but can I reveal like the actual locations that we shot at? Is that okay?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, that's totally fine.
So the high school we shot at, the way you were able to use the walls and the set design there, I thought was just genius and brilliant. And that was a really cool kind of, I can't wait for people to see that part of the film, and I can't wait to see how it turns out, because that was like, I can't say anything else without spoiling it, but I loved how it came together there on set. And same thing with the house location that we shot at. When Ethan and I saw that house for the first time,
we were dying.
we went through a mini existential crisis, because we were like, oh my goodness, we're never going to have this much money ever again. Like, we're in the wrong field. We picked the wrong career. And so when I think of Coalescence, I think of like, oh my gosh, Zach had awesome locations. And I think of like, oh my gosh, I should quit filmmaking and pursue another career entirely, because that house was too beautiful.
Yeah, no, that place is outstanding. And I'm glad that we had access to it when we did, because the friend of mine that lived there has moved now, so we don't have access to it anymore, which is a bummer. But I'm glad we got what we needed to there. But yes, very cool
it's
locations.
Available to be purchased, is what you're telling us.
We got a whopping $3
between the three of us.
Yeah.
Yep. I think this is kind of off topic, but I saw this someone talking about this online the other day, but they were like, I like that total artist complaint of like, I wish I could be content and just pick a normal job. You know what I mean? Like, because like, I think the way this person put it, they were like, if your passion is to be an engineer, you can accomplish it. Like, that's very attainable. You will find a job as an engineer. If you want to be a teacher, a firefighter, an accountant, a manager, like, those are very obtainable. I'm not saying it's easy, but relative to the arts, it is an easier, like, very tangible thing to achieve and accomplish. But if you want to be like a painter or a filmmaker or a singer or whatever, like, it's very like, it's like the Wild West, and nothing is certain whatsoever. I mean, nothing is certain, but like, especially in the arts. And it's like, when we were at that Coalescence house, I was like feeling so strongly in my bones of like, I really wish I could just be content with being an engineer or like a someone who works on like code or computers or something. I felt it so strong that day.
I just remember seeing you just sitting on one of the lawn chairs, just like I just looked over while I was filming, and I was just like, "Oh man, Jordan's having an existential crisis."
And I was even like directing, like
Yeah.
whenever that happens on set, it's like, oh, I'm making a movie and I'm like really in it creatively and like something I got to think about this piece. But no, it was like, this house is so beautiful. I'm never going to be able to afford anything like this in my life. Yeah.
Not
Fun
even like a
times.
tenth of that house.
Yeah, yeah. No, but I'm happy you got to use it in your movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun stuff. For me, obviously.
Hold on, I do have this photo to show.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
If you're listening to us on Zoom or on Spotify, Ethan is showing a picture of me on set of Coalescence. I know exactly what I'm thinking in that picture too. I'm just like, I picked the wrong career path. I like,
Oh, I'm not going to show any more than that.
yeah,
But
yeah. Yeah, hop on over to our YouTube channel if you're listening to us on Spotify to see what Ethan just showed us. But I remember that moment very well.
if you want to pursue filmmaking, though, maybe don't go look.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, it's that weird thing of like, you got to be happy. It's like, if either of us, we all picked jobs and like, I don't know, like if we made cheese for a living. Well, that sounds kind of fun actually, but like, you know what I mean? Like if we picked any other, if we picked any other career, it's like, oh yeah, it'd pay good and it'd be whatever, but like we wouldn't be happy. And it's like, okay, you got to choose between stability and good pay and being happy. And which do you choose?
Good thing filmmaking doesn't make you happy all the time.
I know, and it's like in filmmaking that you're not even happy. You're just like, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I'll move on. Back to 2022.
We digress.
Yeah. For me, when I look back at this year, I mean, I think the biggest thing, I mean, I know Two Little Ghosts came out this year.
Yeah.
Which is, it was cool to have that movie. That felt like closing a chapter in my filmmaking career to an extent, but that chapter was kind of already closed privately, and it was just kind of the public release of the movie. So that was really exciting to have that come out and people watch that and people respond to that. I really, I like the movie. I think there's things I would obviously change, like with any movie, but I'm really happy that it was finally similar to you, Ethan, because that was shot 2021, released this year, and it was cool to have it out in the public finally. Just that kind of like you've given birth to this movie and now it's out there. That was an awesome thing. But for me, La Danza eclipses everything this year, because that was like that was the thing I worked on this whole year, because we shot the short.
It's in February, right?
I think it was in January. Actually, let me look at my little pocket calendar here. I'm sure I could find the exact date.
Remember, it was really, really cold.
It was very cold. Holly, what Holly did was she sent us the prompt in December. I remember that, and we shot it. Oh, look at that! We shot on January 28th and the 29th.
There we go.
Looks like. So yeah, and then we just wrapped it in end of October, and I'm still editing it. And so kind of creatively for me, La Danza has eclipsed everything as this kind of year-long journey adventure of making this movie, which we can go into later. But that's been, I mean, I don't know, that's been a huge process, and I don't even I don't even know where to begin with talking about that one, but yeah, that's the one that stands out the most, and I can't wait for people to see it. I'll just say that for now.
Mhm.
That's the first movie I shot. Well, not the first, but that's like the most of that movie is shot by me, which was a weird thing.
Yeah.
So Ethan got laid off from cinematographer.
I got fired this year. I
He
released
got
the bell
fired.
rings and I get fired.
I don't know. No. But yeah, that was a weird thing because I thought in film school, what I made a conscious choice to not touch the camera. Like I was like, a director doesn't touch the camera. He doesn't need to touch it. Like he's got a cameraman. And so
You watch too much Zack Snyder
I know
because he uses his camera now.
I know. I purposed that was a conscious choice, I remember, because I remember when we first started making movies, it was really hard to give someone the camera and trust them to get the right shot. So all throughout film school, what I focused on was, okay, I need to communicate to Ethan, here's the shot I want. And that was kind of what I focused on rather than how does Ethan actually get the shot. So I think I'm not sure if I've told you this, Ethan, but I've said this at some point of like, I feel like I got worse as a filmmaker in film school because I never touched the camera or did any of that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because you shot everything pretty much. I wasn't like a camera person whatsoever, and so I got a little bit of that stuff on Two Little Ghosts because a lot of that I did shoot on my own. But this was the year where I like actually I'm putting up lights. I mean, not that I didn't put up lights, but I was like, I had to do all the camera stuff you usually have to deal with, and that was an interesting challenge.
And you bought a camera, like you
bought
weren't
a
just using
camera.
mine.
I wasn't just using yours. I wasn't just using my old camera. Yeah, it was very it's an interesting process. I have a good time with using the camera now. I don't feel so like I need training wheels or something. Like I feel a little bit more competent with the camera. I don't know if you agree, Ethan. You're the master cinematographer here, but
you're okay.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Well, I think having made that conscious decision during film school to focus on communication with your cinematographer, I think is really good. And now you have more experience behind the camera from La Danza and Two Little Ghosts, I think that now going forward, you have this really cool balance of being in the cinematographer's shoes while also having practiced those communication skills, which are very much essential as a director. And I think that's really cool and very important to have both of those.
Right. And I feel I will say if there's one thing like technical thing I'm proud of this year. I mean, this isn't even really cinematography wise, but this is like more editing wise, but I want to take credit for this little tiny thing. I just want this thing and then that'll be it. But did you talk about this in the Bell Rings video, Ethan, with our trick?
Oh yeah, I did.
Did you credit me?
I'm pretty sure I did.
Okay. Well, if you didn't credit me,
I wasn't going to steal that one from you.
Okay. I was so when I discovered that trick, and if anyone who's listening doesn't know, we when I was editing La Danza, I was messing around with just the footage and trying to figure out how to, manipulate it to make it look a certain way. And I discovered that if you put a video layer, so you stack two video layers on top of each other of the same video, you put a Gaussian blur over the bottom layer and drop the opacity of the top layer, it gives you this kind of misty, kind of creamy, dreamy kind of look to your footage, like almost like a haze filter, but without using a haze filter.
Yeah.
And I showed you that trick, and you used it all over the Bell Rings, and it looks so good. Like that whole kind of, it gives it that old timey, like, I don't know, like Hollywood, like I can't describe it in words.
Yeah, it's the secret sauce.
It's the secret sauce. And I think that's my greatest accomplishment this year, is figuring out that editing trick.
We'll definitely have to use that for something else.
Something secret.
Something else. Yeah.
Something else.
Yeah.
Almost said something there.
Yep.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's all good. Yeah, but anyways, 2022 has been a pretty interesting, fun year. I'm trying to look back at our YouTube side of things. If there's what videos have we done this year that stuck out to you guys?
Well, something big on the YouTube side that's not quite what you're talking about, but
oh yeah, I totally forgot.
Joel Haver's Oscar movie challenge that we got to collab alongside fellow filmmakers, RC Films, and made a movie called Crescendo.
Yes,
which was a really cool thing to be a part of, and spawned something that was really, really fun to make. Jordan, what's your favorite part about the Crescendo movie?
I haven't seen Crescendo yet, but you know what okay, here's a roundabout thing.
Oh man.
What my favorite thing about Crescendo is I made the actual song that we made in the movie. It's on a Bandcamp account, and on that Bandcamp account you can find one of the songs from Two Little Ghosts, and you can find the Witch song from The Bell Rings on there. And I don't know who this person was, but someone, because I just put it up there for free, someone downloaded the music and donated $2 to me.
Hey,
so I made
more
money on music this year than I did making movies. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
And then it's going to get taxed.
Yeah, I know. The government will want their 90 cents or whatever. So that's my favorite part about Crescendo is I got paid to make music. I got paid $1 to make a song or whatever. I don't know.
Talking about YouTube accomplishments, something that happened a lot more recently that wasn't necessarily, I don't necessarily feel like we can take full credit for that, because in part this is due to the help of our listeners and our viewers. We did reach 1,000 subscribers this year, as of a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we did.
It's excellent.
I was hoping that'd be our goal we'd reach, but
yeah,
you're never sure.
Yeah.
And it feels awesome. I'm really appreciative of everybody who's watched our stuff, and it's kind of cool to think about oh my goodness, enough people have liked our stuff to hit subscribe and watch our content. That just feels it's a nice milestone. Obviously we don't do this for other people, but it's nice to have people appreciate your work. So that's it feels like a really, I don't know, it was a special milestone for us.
Yeah,
totally. And I'm just very thankful to our listeners and our fans. So if you're listening to this and you're a subscriber, thank you, and tell your friends to subscribe. Maybe we'll hit 2,000 next year.
Ooh, we're so close to monetizing the channel too. So keep listening to the podcast all the way through to get our minutes up.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's funny, kind of that was a goal that we started, or that we had 2 years ago, or however long it was, when we rebranded as Doom Productions, and we started doing this more frequently, more full time. And so it's kind of an interesting, okay, we're finally here, we reached our goal, what's the next goal? And so that's something we've been thinking about and trying to figure out what we're going to do next, and all that stuff, which is just, it's exciting. It's it's fun times.
And kind of in the same vein as that, the Doomed podcast itself, on Spotify, is doing really great. We have 12 countries that we have listeners in, and we have 2,000 minutes of plays and some really nice stats. So it's cool to see people are listening.
Yeah. So if you're listening to us, thank you.
Yeah. Still want to appreciate the fans as much as possible, because obviously this wouldn't be happening without you guys, at least not in the same fun way that it is like this. We'd probably still be making movies, but let's be real, it's better when people want to watch your stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fellas, do we have any closing thoughts on the year 2022 for our filmmaking careers, our YouTube Doom productions?
Just glad it was another really fun year. Very appreciative to all the people we got to meet, got to see all the new viewers. We appreciate you checking us out. It's just been just a great time. This has been a really, really fun era of our YouTube channel. It's been around. Next year will be our 10th year with this YouTube channel. But Doom Productions kind of started in 2020, so it's kind of like the doomed era of this YouTube channel has been a blast. So we're excited to see kind of where it takes us next in the coming year, which kind of leads us off, I guess, into 2023, unless any of you guys got stuff to say.
No, I say let's do it.
Yeah.
Plays ahead.
So, Zach, what can people, remind folks of what we are doing in 2023, our big plans.
Well, our main plan, we have a series, not necessarily fully connected, but we went over a few podcasts ago, probably at the beginning of November, I believe it was, that we are adapting books from the public domain into movies. Each of us is heading up one of those projects, and we are all going to be very much involved in that whole process with each other. And I think that's basically all we have told you guys at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, we're playing it close to the chest. But it's exciting because we've kind of talked about this dynamic a little bit, but it's exciting because the way we work has been, we are a team, but it's been kind of isolated. It's kind of been more like we're a group, but with these films that we're going to make, these 3 films back to back, it's kind of, we are going to be way more of a team than we have in the past, even though we are a team, but we've kind of operated more in the sense of like a group in the last year rather than like a bunch of people working towards a common goal, like a family kind of thing. So it's exciting. And I don't think it's too much to say that Zach's film is up first.
Yeah.
We'll be shooting Zach's movie first, mostly because you got to go off to film school in the fall, so we got to get that going. But I don't have my notebook right here. I have a notebook full of notes. I've been diligently working on the script and more of the research. Kind of the process of adapting something is really interesting, and we've all kind of taken it in slightly different directions. But what I'm doing right now is I am really examining the themes and the characters of the book. And because I kind of did a whole analysis of the whole book breakdown first, and then I was like, okay, let me apply that to my adaptation. And it's not a one-to-one change you can easily make. You have to change things, obviously. So figuring out how to make those changes has been a little bit tricky, but it's been fun and it kind of mentally kind of stimulating. It's been fun. So that's what I've been working on. What have you two been working on with your adaptation recently?
Yeah, I think I'm in a similar place where a lot of the literal material shifts. But there's also a lot of stuff that doesn't. It kind of walks the line between like a kind of an overhaul of the text, but also still very much is trying to stay true to that. So trying to find where that line is and how to deal with that is really interesting. And it kind of feels like, in a way, like a step beyond the mindset I had to be in for The Bell Rings, where that was an original story, but more the time frame and the like being true to like an era was what I was trying to do for The Bell Rings. With this, it's now I'm trying to be true to a story that's already very established, and then trying to find the way still to bring in my ideas and my voice to it. So it's been really exciting. It's an idea I've had for a bit, so it's been fun to kind of revisit it and kind of ruminate on it more. But it's definitely been not the easier one, because there's kind of like that pressure of knowing that this is something that people do know. So you kind of have to
Yeah.
work on it in a very, very delicate way, but at the same time, it's really exciting. Yeah. What about you, Zach?
It's been really interesting because almost immediately, once I had decided on the book that I was going to adapt, I knew what style and I guess format I wanted to present the story in. Um, and I think that having that realized right from the get-go has really influenced all my decisions around how I'm adapting it, especially since I very much believe that the way that I'm going about adapting it will, at least hopefully anyways, really be complementary to the story, in a way that preserves the essence and still makes it refreshing, a refreshing presentation of the story. So
Yeah. And we can't, because y'all know us, if you listen to Doom Productions, we like to play things very close to the chest. So we're not going to reveal the books we're adapting, but we can reveal the titles of our movies so far, because our titles are different from the books. So, who would like to reveal for Zach? I think you should reveal first, since yours is coming up first. So you'll be shooting soon. So, what is the name of your movie?
well, this is the current working title. So it may be the actual title. It may change. But as of currently, my film is called The Strange Case.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah. Ethan, what's yours called?
Yeah, mine again might change, but we'll see. But its current title is The Monster. What about you, Jordan?
My title's not going to change because I like it too much.
It's so good.
It's called Perversion. And I don't know when we're going to shoot it. I don't know if, because Zach is, his film is first, Strange Case is first. We don't know if Ethan's is going to shoot The Monster or we're going to shoot Perversion next. It's kind of all up in the air a little bit, but we're all very excited to be working on it. And so I don't know if those movies are all going to necessarily be released next year. I think Strange Case has the best shot at coming out next year because, we're shooting it first. But, we sometimes we take our time with like The Bell Rings, but other times we're really quick, like with Wild Boys. So you never know. And if you'd like to stay in the know on that, just make sure, you follow us on social media, you subscribe to us, all that sort of thing. And this is a little footnote in terms of 2023, other things to expect. But we're going to finish up Coalescence and La Danza. So, Zach, I don't know if you want to give any Coalescence updates in terms of, what people can expect from that in 2023, or, you know.
Yeah, I can do that. I can say that we have a little bit more of the filming to do, which will happen early next year, over the next couple to few months. It's kind of loose. We don't have a definitive schedule on that yet. But we will definitely probably have wrapped filming before summer of 2023, I believe. I do not know when you can expect to see it released, just because there are some post-production things that I still need to figure out in regards to effects and other things in that regard. But yeah, you can definitely expect that sooner than later.
Right. And with La Danza, I would have loved to surprise everyone and release it on Christmas this year, but um, kind of what I've told these guys before and the RC boys is it's truly my Mount Everest of editing projects. Like it's been um really difficult to edit because of just the nature of a non-narrative film that is driven by tone and mood and emotion more than story. So it's been very difficult, but I've had some revelations recently. But it seems that for every revelation you have, you also have like 5 different setbacks of other things. So we'll see. It is my goal as of now is to lock picture by the end of the year, and then there'll still be some audio to record. So my guess would be, just because in terms of time and things and getting promotional materials ready, at earliest, I would say spring is when it will come out. But I think summer might be a more realistic estimate, but you never know. It could come out sooner. We don't know. When it's done, I'll put it out there. It won't be like Two Little Ghosts where I sit on it for forever and ever. So we'll see. I don't know. Actually, I'm thinking about it before I move on. I did a little mock-up poster for it, so I can show this on here. Maybe I'll tweet it out later. I think. Oh, geez, it's blinding me.
Hold it up closer to the camera and it'll adjust, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's that. I think I'll tweet this out later today.
Nice.
Well, not today. When
the pod
whenever this episode is out, I will tweet out that poster. So yeah, y'all can look forward to that if you're into weird movies. Zach's will be I think if I had to guess, I think more people would like Zach's movies. I think that will be a fun I'm trying not it's really hard not
mainstream, maybe. I don't know.
Not mainstream. Well, it has I'll say
mainstream adjacent.
Yeah.
It's got an awesome vibe, and I think people will really connect to the characters. And mine is like there are no characters. It's like I don't know. Like it's weird, and I think
character is the movie.
I guess I don't know. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see your movie, Zach, because I'm very much in the dark about it. I mean, I know what you've told us, obviously, but I'm excited, and everything that you've shot looks great, and so I'm excited to see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same goes with yours. It was great getting to work on what little Ethan and I got to of yours, and what little we have seen looks absolutely fantastic, at least to us as film nerds. So
yeah,
I'm very much excited to see how people react to La Danza. So
yeah.
Jordan doesn't give himself credit. He'll say he's not a great cinematographer, but some of the best Doom production shots, period, are in La Danza. So get ready. And I didn't shoot them. Though there are a few that I did shoot that are really excited to see.
That's how you know if it's an Ethan shot, it looks really good. If it's everything else is me.
Yeah, but there are a couple that aren't mine that I'm like, ooh, that's the shot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyways, that's what folks can look forward from us next year. I think now's a good time. I mean, I think what people really want to know, maybe they don't, maybe we're just full of ourselves, but what I like hearing about from other filmmakers is their favorite movies of that year that they did not direct. So we came prepared, kind of. I mean, yeah, we did. We are prepared. We came prepared with a little list of our top 3 movies of 2022 that we saw that are our favorites of the year. And we just wanted to nerd and geek out about some of our favorite movies this year for a little bit. Yeah, so I guess, I mean, before we get
oh yeah, you're already on it. Good. Great.
Yeah, I was gonna say, before we get into our top 3, I think we should shout out honorable mentions, or maybe movies that aren't 2022 releases but we saw this year. So you know, what's up there for you guys?
Zach, you go first.
All right. There are a couple. My top three list is subject to change because one of them I have only seen once.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very much a believer in the two viewing system that I may or may not have created. But my runners up are Black Panther Wakanda Forever and Nope. I really enjoyed Nope. It definitely feels like a classic, you know, horror slash suspense slash little bit of action in there, adventure stuff. But it definitely has that Jordan Peele, I guess, feel and twist that I really appreciated with it. That I found it a really fun viewing experience. And with Black Panther Wakanda Forever, it didn't quite make my top three, but man, Ryan Coogler is awesome, and it's no secret that I love Marvel. And I think that despite the behind the scenes challenges that they were inevitably faced with due to the passing of their lead actor, they managed to come up with a story and a product that was very, very good in my eyes. So those are my two runners up.
Nice. Nope was it reminded me of like Jaws or Duel or something, like a Spielberg movie. I really like that. I saw Wakanda Forever a couple times in the theaters. That was a fun one. Ethan, what do you have any runners up for yours, or have you seen Zach's runner up?
Nope. I haven't seen them. Nope is one that I would like to see though.
I think really Nope's streaming right now, isn't it?
What's it streaming on? Is it streaming?
I have no idea. I think it's streaming on something.
My wife says it's streaming, so maybe I'll be watching it tonight.
Yeah, it's a good one. I think you guys would like it.
I just saw a video today of one of the actors getting told he got cast. Like it was just like on a Zoom call, and seeing him like freaking out. So I just saw that on like TikTok earlier. So
there's a character. There's not to spoil anything for Nope, but there is a cinematographer character that I think you will deeply appreciate in Nope, because it's all about the movie industry to an extent, and so I think you'll get a kick out of his character.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
that's gonna be fun. But yeah, looking forward to seeing those. But some movies that I really enjoyed, Bo Burnham's Inside. That was one that I really, really, really had a fun time with. And then just some folk films that I also really enjoyed. 6 Days Alone by Dan Lotz. Just had a ton of fun with that movie. I think Dan did a great job on it. No Shark by Cody Clark was one that I also really enjoyed. And what was the last one? Oh, Hotel by RC Films, by some other friends of ours. That was a great movie and really, really awesome to see get made. We got to kind of zoom in on some of their shooting sessions while they were filming, and that was a lot of fun. We're not doing our and then Dr. Sleep, which I watched just a couple days ago and was absolutely blown away by. That was like a really, really great movie. So if you're a Stephen King fan, but also if you're a really big fan of this Stanley Kubrick film, so if you're not Stephen King, definitely worth watching. Yeah. We aren't doing our top. We aren't doing our actual 1, 2, and 3.
We're doing our runner up.
Okay, cool.
Now, like the ones that didn't make the list.
Then those are mine.
I'm trying to think of YouTube movies. Oh, I should have came prepared actually. I did. You know, I made a conscious effort to see a bunch of YouTube movies this year when I had like little vacations or breaks, and it's always great to watch a bunch of those because you can kind of see like maybe like because it's a whole range of different voices, right? It's people who are either just starting out or it's people who have been doing it for a while. and they're unknown because they're on YouTube. And so it's really cool to see this wide diversity of different artistic voices in the YouTube sphere. And all that stuff is awesome. I think one that stands out to me was Dan Lotz's movie, One Shot, his heist movie, which I thought was super fun, super good. No Shark I liked quite a bit. There's a lot of Oscar movies I saw.
Was Drowning in Potential, did that come out this year?
Which one was that? Drowning in Potential.
That's from Joel
Was that
Haver.
Joel Haver?
I think that one came out this year.
Yeah, that did. I think so. Yeah.
That's one I forgot that Tully Blancs.
Yeah, that one
was phenomenal.
That one's great. I loved what's it called? Shoot, I'm blanking. I feel so bad because we make movies on YouTube, but I will always blank out with YouTube filmmakers. Terrible.
The hard part now is there's so many.
I know, which is kind of a great problem.
None.
We're spoiled with like all these options. Oh, Matt Berry's Forbidden Frames, I really enjoyed.
Ooh, I need to see that one still.
That one was really fun. Yeah, Matt Berry's a filmmaker we got to have on the show, actually. So if Matt's listening to this, we'll reach out to you sometime soon because I love your films. So I love his work. Late Night 99 too, that channel, Alex Clegg, I think that's his name.
Yeah.
It's been their year, man. Like they put out so many great shorts and features this year. I haven't seen Over the Next Horizon yet. That's like the one. I've seen all of their other stuff they released this year, but I haven't seen Over the Next Horizon. So those guys are super duper talented. But yeah. Anyways, okay. Sorry for rambling. That was all to say there's some awesome YouTube filmmakers, but my runners up for this year, I picked this one. This one would be in my top 3, but it's technically a 2021 release, but it was officially released like to public this year, which is Paul Tippett's Mad God. That's this beautiful stop motion movie that Shudder just put out last year. And it was really good. And I really loved it. And it would have made my top 3. Elvis was another pick. The editing in that was phenomenal. And Prey was really good. The new Predator movie. I like that one quite a bit. Oh, and Barbarian. Barbarian is it's pretty much tied with number 3, I think, for me, but it's like the other ones just have a slight edge to it for me personally.
Yeah, Barbarian got just edged out for me too.
It's like I've seen it a whole bunch. That one's super duper fun. Like that might be one of the best crowd pleasing movies of this year, where it's like super fun to see with an audience. But yeah, there's a lot of good movies this year. What can I say? And that's not a problem necessarily.
2022 is a good year.
Yeah, this is a good year for movies, I think. But anyways, let's reveal our top 3. So let's go Zach, Ethan, then me. What was your what was your third pick? Number 3. We'll count down. Yeah.
Cool. So I will clarify. There are several movies that I have not seen that came out in 2022 that I very much suspect could supplant some of these other ones.
Right.
But my current number 3 is Avatar: The Way of Water.
All right. My number 3 is The Batman.
Oh yeah, Batman. Zach, you and I we think like Avatar: Way of Water, I think, is number 3 for me. Just I can't spoil it because Ethan hasn't seen it.
I will say this. I did not expect to cry at a whale.
Yeah.
The Whale, starring Brendan Fraser.
Oh, I gotta see that.
To see that. Oh man,
I know. I need to see that one too.
No, Avatar. Not to. So I want to say this about Avatar because it seems like and like we kind of talked about this with Merdula a little bit last week, but it's like it's such a treat to see a big Hollywood movie that's driven by James Cameron and like a team, like he's got a team of people around, like with a singular artistic vision and pushing the boundaries of technology to tell this grand epic mythic story in the same way of like Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, and it's all original.
Yeah.
It's not based on anything. I mean, yeah, you could say the first one was Dances with Wolves or Pocahontas. You could say all that, but the world, the aliens, the technology, the language, all of that's original. And seeing something fresh and new, I really, really appreciate and connect to. Because I love, as much as I love weird artsy fartsy stuff, I love big blockbuster, original Hollywood IP stuff. Um, and so there's not a whole lot of original blockbusters being made these days. Like there's 20 Marvel movies and there's, you know, a bunch of superhero movies and stuff like that. But this is like kind of a movie that's, they took 13 years to make this one and you really felt that love and passion in it. So I loved Avatar and so much fun. Sorry. I like that movie a lot. I'm gonna go see it again, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. I will say this: I have never seen a line, or I not never. I have not seen a line that long at the movie theater since Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
Only
Yeah.
every couple of years you get an experience like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. James Cameron, he's a special filmmaker.
Oh yeah.
I think, yeah, I digress. Number 2, gentlemen, what is your number 2 pick?
My number 2 is one that Ethan already mentioned, The Batman.
Nice.
As a comic book nerd, I love this movie in almost every single way. They nail the characters. I think the formatting is perfect. I love that they highlight the detective aspect of Batman. It feels like a Batman comic more than any other Batman movie I have ever seen. And I still to this day go back and forth on whether I like it more than The Dark Knight or not. It is, I love it so much.
Nice.
It's a very good movie. Hot Ones, the YouTube channel just did an interview with Paul Dano. They just released it. And it's really good. So it's worth watching.
That's right.
My number 2 is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Just saw that one not too long ago. And yeah, like all the like advertising where it's him talking about like the craftsmanship and all the time and effort they put into making this movie feel, you know, old, but with all the modern techniques of stop motion and all the storytelling and bringing this classic story into a different light. Oh my gosh, they nailed it. It's so freaking good. And like all the stuff, like it's different from the Disney one. It's different from that other weird Sony one that came out earlier this year, I bet.
That was Disney.
That was Disney?
Yeah, because
okay.
it was the remake of the Disney movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, this one was the best one.
Okay.
It's just super good. So if anyone hasn't seen it, it's on Netflix to stream. So if you have Netflix, like you got to see it. It's so good. And just all the characters in it are phenomenal. So it's a real treat of a movie.
And just from an art, it's just like from an art standpoint, you can just every frame of that movie is so just beautiful. It's filled with so much detail. It's great.
And I couldn't quite tell. It was funny. There's certain parts of it. I'm like, I don't know if this is a kid's movie.
Yeah.
Like they aren't afraid of getting a little dark with it. I think that made it a lot of fun too. Like they explore all aspects of that movie and all of that story. So
yeah,
it's really, really fun. Worth watching.
Yeah.
All right, you can go ahead, Jordan.
My number 2 is Pearl, the Mia Goth Ty West movie. I saw X and I thought it was good, but then I saw Pearl and I was absolutely like blown away. Like I'm surprised. Well, I mean, it has gotten attention, but I would hope that in years to come, it's looked back upon as like this great kind of horror drama. Because I just love the way that, I mean, the style of the movie, that kind of character study of the lead character, the music, the writing, like everything. That was a movie where it felt very much like us in a way. And I think I even told you guys, like, a perfect double feature would be watching Pearl and like The Bell Rings, because there's a lot of like similarities between the two, which is kind of funny. But yeah, great movie. I love Pearl a whole lot. And yeah,
I need to borrow your copy.
yeah, it's a good one. Very good. Um, if you haven't, if well, I'll say this: if you like the Joker or like Taxi Driver or stuff like that, I would check out Pearl, because it's like very much in the same vein as like those movies, with like kind of like a classical Hollywood flair, like Wizard of Oz style to it all. So it's fun. I like it a lot.
Very cool.
All right, moment we've all been waiting for. Number one movie of the year. What do you guys pick?
All right. My number one kind of surprised me. My number one was Top Gun Maverick. I very much I love this movie so much. I think that the magic that Tom Cruise is able to bring to this film by pushing the boundaries of what can be done with film, on the technical side of being able to fit so many different cameras inside an actual cockpit, teaching his actors to direct and edit while they're actually piloting an aircraft. And the story feels so good. It's both personal and it's epic in scale. The acting is phenomenal. I cried multiple times. Definitely an IMAX movie. And it does not feel like a legacy movie that we're used to seeing, because we often see a lot of these like soft reboots and stuff like that these days. And to me, this one felt very different while still having nostalgia for the original movie, but at the same time, it didn't feel as surface level or on the nose of like, oh, that's a reference to that thing. It felt very natural. And yeah, that's all I have to say. I really liked it.
That's how I felt about Doctor Sleep for The Shining. It does the same kind of thing, but I haven't seen either Top Gun yet, so
I will say I went and saw Top Gun Maverick for the first time with a very good friend of mine from high school, and I told her that there was a piece of cinema magic in Top Gun Maverick that was very, very, very similar to what I felt when I saw Star Wars: A New Hope for the first time when I was 6 years old. And I was like, this is why I want to make movies, type of a thing.
Nice. All right. My number one movie pick for 2022 is Everything Everywhere All at Once. Just
nice.
Phenomenal movie. Acting incredible. The characters are great. They're funny, they're heartwarming. There's great action and performances on all ends. The technical side with a small team of VFX artists that are able to pull off some of the craziest mind-bending stuff you've ever seen. Yeah, just what more is there to say on this movie? If you know, you know. So yeah, Everything Everywhere.
Ditto to that. That's my same pick for number one. It's very basic, kind of pick, but a lot of people like it for a reason. I think it's one of those movies where it's like, that's what movies are to me. Like, narrative filmmaking should be aspire. Oh, I ripped out my earbuds. Narrative filmmaking should aspire to like that kind of ingeniousness and that kind of just pure level of just like creativity.
Mhm.
Easily like the most creative movie I've seen the entire year. Like you said, all done with a, you know, relatively small VFX team of like 5 people, all self-taught. Um, and yeah, it's best movie of the year for me, in my opinion. Um, these are all just our opinions, but you know, that's what you know, that's what we connected to the most.
Yeah, I definitely feel like once I see that one, it'll probably end up somewhere on my top 3 at least.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
see, we
still
should
need to
just
get
watch that all
out.
together.
yeah, I
I
know.
want to see it again. I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah. Normally in our show, we have a main topic. We talk about what you have been working on, what you've been watching, which we kind of did, talking about 2023 and talking about our favorite movies of the year. But it wouldn't be a Doom Productions podcast without a viewer question from our favorite viewer, Thomas S. Thomas S is a fellow YouTuber, does great animations, and he works at Weta from last we heard. So, uh, Thomas, I guess if you're listening to this and you're there, are you still at Weta? If so, congratulations again because that's awesome.
Also, can you get us a job?
Yeah, I know, really. Also, did you work on Avatar 2? Because if you did, great job. But yeah, yeah, Thomas is a longtime listener, viewer of ours. We love Thomas. He always sends in great questions. This time he has 2 questions. One of them is a kind of a hot button topic right now. Um, and let's just get into it. His first question is, um, I'd like what he writes is, I'd like your opinion on the whole AI art thing. Should AI art exist? How much ownership should the prompter, aka the guy who types the words and tweaks the settings, have? Are they even an artist? Is this a real threat to artist jobs out there? Now, Thomas, great question. I've seen this Discord a lot. I will preface our answers by saying we are very unqualified to speak on this issue. We are not necessarily traditional artists. Like we're filmmakers. We can draw to an extent, kind of. I mean, I
More
speak
than others.
I can't really draw that much. Zach, I think you're a better artist. You're probably the best artist out of all of us. But
I'll take the worst slot. I can confidently take that one.
um, but I mean, we're artists in terms of filmmakers. Our primary medium is not drawing or sketching. I'll preface it with that, and also we haven't used AI. We haven't looked into it, so we're gonna. I think what as we answer this question, we're gonna establish how we understand it, so that if it's not like that, please correct us in the comments. Out of you know just because we're not experts on this AI thing. Zach, it looks like you have a little show and tell to show us. Let's see.
I was trying to find something of decency, but yeah, let's see what's a good one. Oh,
Decency as in terms of quality of art or in terms of like, are they naked or not?
Oh no, in terms of quality, a lot of these are unfinished.
And don't worry,
But, like,
they don't have pants.
but like we got the DC
Oh, nice.
Deathstroke. This is just the start of it, but
Dark or
Yeah.
Deathstroke, right?
yeah.
Nice. Okay. So from what I understand, AI art is where because I have a little thing on Midjourney where I've like just for fun I'll like give it prompts and I'll get images back. So from what I understand, what you do as an average Joe who uses it, you type in a prompt, the AI will send you images back, and you can tweak the images by saying do it again, but with more blue or more red or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, the way these AI machines are trained is they are fed different artworks to look at. And from those artworks, they develop, they just memorize it all because they're machines. And the problem seems to be where artists, without their consent, or their work is shown to these machines, and then let's say you are Alex Ross, and someone types in, "Give me Garfield um, eating lasagna in the style of Alex Ross with Superman," or something like that, and then it feeds it out. The issue seems to be artists, being like, "Hey, I didn't agree to have my artwork fed into this machine." That seems to be where the whole debate is. That's the extent of my knowledge on this issue. I don't know if there's anything more you two would like to add, but what are your guys' opinions on that?
Yeah. It's funny, my wife and I were talking about this last night. She's an artist, a very good artist, in my opinion. She does a lot of painting amongst a million other hobbies and is pretty proficient at them. So we were just talking about it, and something interesting that was kind of going on in this discussion was I guess there was a guy who made a children's like picture book that he originally made just for his neighbors, like kids, and he made it through generating all the art through AI. So he made the book in like a weekend, but he ended up selling it on Amazon to make a profit on it. And so there was a whole kind of backlash of people being like, well, this isn't yours. Like, it's that same discussion of, what art's being used to generate this artwork, and also just like the kind of implications of the corporate world not needing to hire artists to make artwork anymore when they can just generate it and use it and get a good enough product out of that. And what this guy who made this book, he got interviewed a lot about it, and he's like really good guy. He was like, yeah, I totally agree with like artists on this. I see where they're coming from. And his big thing is was talking about wanting to see what art does get used to generate the image, and where is that coming from? Like, is it coming from publicly owned art, or is this coming from anywhere the AI can source it from on the internet? Like, what's that kind of dividing line, I think, kind of informs, I guess, like my stance where it would be for that part. But I go back and forth on some of it. Obviously, my favorite part of AI getting so good is for programs like Photoshop and Lightroom, because I do a lot of photography, and all their ability to identify things in context, like do subject selections and all that. Like, so nice. I don't have to use a brush anymore to like paint out people. But yeah, this whole other side, like it's kind of really weird, and I don't see it going anywhere. So it's kind of like, what's this discussion going to lead to? Yeah, I don't know. Zach, do you have thoughts or ideas?
I think you kind of touched on this a little bit in what you said, but I think the important thing is, what are the references? Where are those references coming from? And is it consensual? I don't know if that's necessarily the right word to use in that situation, but like, I feel like AI technology in general has the potential to be incredibly useful, but at the same time abused as well, as is with a lot of things. But I think if used properly, I think they're on the technical side of what is art. There is an art to formulating sentences. So in a way, technically speaking, the people that are typing things into there, technically by that definition, are using art to draw from that. But at the same time, the issue again is, where is it coming from type of a thing, because then it isn't truly fully original. Which we could go back and forth on whether anything truly original is even possible at this point.
Sure.
But I think the ideal situation would be drawing from stock or non-copyrighted sources, and or things that are licensed by the company that is producing the AI technology that can do that. As long as there is permission involved, I think that would be, that's what I would, from my very limited perspective on it, what I would consider ethical in that situation.
Yeah.
Whether or not AI art is art, I don't know enough to chip in on that itself. But
Yeah. And any art,
Yeah.
like, it depends on how you use it. Can
Yeah.
be good or bad or harmful in some way. But I think what's been a cool thing to see out of like the AI revolution is the way artists have been using it and incorporating it into their work as it is. I've seen a lot of really cool video edits using things like EBSynth or Ebsynth, however you call it, which is a animation software that like Joel Haver uses to make his animations. But I've seen people use AI generated art and use it to like blend in that art on top of live action footage that they've shot. And I've also seen people use like AI generated stuff as like concept art for their final products. I think there's a lot of cool stuff coming out of it. But yeah, it's that kind of that question of it's good for artists, but also how does it hurt artists, and how does it balance out?
Yeah.
But I like the idea of it being like you're talking about, like people licensing their art to it. It's almost kind of like it's open source at that point. Like people can feed into it what they want and get out of it stuff, rather than it being a thing currently that's kind of seen as taking away only from artists and giving to non-artists or whoever wants to use it, but rather be a thing that people can kind of equally give and take from. Yeah.
It's Thomas brought up an interesting point in his email. I don't even know if he was for or against like this aspect of it, but something he brought up is, how do you learn to draw? Well, one of the ways you learn to draw is you emulate a style of an artist that you like.
Yeah.
So like I love Frank Frazetta. He's my favorite artist. So I've done a bunch of studies on his work, and I'll draw similar pieces to him. Nowhere near as good, but that's just kind of what you do as an artist when you're trying to find out what you like, and what you're trying to make is you do the exact same thing that the AI machine is doing, but it takes you longer, and you're not necessarily retaining every single little piece and thing the way a computer did. I thought that was a really interesting point to bring up, that the machine is doing the same thing that artists do, but in my gut, there is a difference. I can't quite articulate why me spending years learning how to draw like Alex Ross or Frazetta is any different than feeding a machine a bunch of Frazetta and Alex Ross pieces and teaching it how to draw. Like I don't have the words to articulate why that's different, but in my gut, it tells me there is a difference between a human doing it and a machine doing it. And I don't want to repeat anything you guys said, because I think you guys hit the nail on the head there. I will say that I love, this isn't exactly what we're talking about, but I love that AI in terms of editing software and Photoshop and stuff like that, because there's just so many tedious things that I hate doing. Like I hate when you have film a scene outside and it's really windy and you can't hear the audio whatsoever, or if you're in a busy room and there's lots of noise. I love being able to click a button on Final Cut Pro and it gets rid of all of that, and it isolates the voice perfectly. That is awesome. Which because filmmaking is art, and that's all a part about it. But I don't think that's what people mean when they mean like AI and art necessarily. And then it's, Zach, you talked about like what is art, and boy, that's like a whole nother it's a very relevant, and it's a whole nother conversation there, because like to an extent it's like, okay, what is art? If like this AI thing is making this piece, is that art or is that not art? Does it come from a person or whatever? Because you could make the case, like I've heard cases that photography is an art, and they're like pretty compelling arguments. I don't agree with it necessarily, but it's like I can totally see where people are coming from of like, huh, like I never like like you're not, because you're not creating anything, you're capturing something. And that's like the argument I've heard against photography, which I'm like, I've never thought about that before, but that's an interesting, like I can kind of see where people are coming from. Um, so what is art, all that kind of stuff? I mean, it's tricky. I mean, me personally, I mean, like I said, my gut tells me there is a difference between a machine doing it and a person. I can't articulate it, but I think the trouble, I mean, again, from my ignorant, uninformed perspective, the real trouble really seems to be when people are rewarded for using the AI, um, whether it be monetary or prize or however. Like if you enter into a competition for like an art competition, and you make an if you just type something into Midjourney and you submit that and you win a prize, that seems a little cheap.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like if you type something into Midjourney and then like maybe you like copy it by hand or something and you trace it, or you like use Photoshop to manipulate it, like that feels a little bit more like mixed media. And collages, I think most people would consider collage a form of art, right? Because I see people cutting out pictures in magazines and pasting them and making really cool artwork there. So it's like, yeah, I feel it kind of like it comes down to like, gee, what is art and all that. But I think the main trouble, which I agree with, is it seems to be when people are given money or prize or laurels of some sort for just typing in a prompt to a AI machine. Because I think for me personally, AI could be a really fun tool to not to create all my art from scratch, but to use for my art to an extent. Not necessarily like relying on that solely. But yeah, it's a. I mean, Thomas, he asks these good questions, and I'm just not qualified to answer them.
Want to move on to the next one?
I guess so. Yeah, I hope that answers your questions, Thomas. And you said you didn't.
Thoughts, leave them down below.
Please leave them down below. You said not to read out your whole thing because it's too long, so I'm respecting your wishes. But if you please chime in down below. His next question is, how do you deal with the feeling that everything is fleeting on the internet? He talks about how everything moves very fast and can be very disposable. So, for instance, we could upload a video onto YouTube, and then a couple years later, someone sees it and they love it, but then we might delete it or might get deleted for one reason or another. So how do we deal with the kind of fickleness, fast moving pace of the internet? Like, how do we, as us being filmmakers, how do we kind of respond to that?
I feel like as a filmmaker specifically, the internet is like, in terms of our movies, I'm going to keep it just to that for now.
Yeah.
The internet is just as fleeting as any other media that movies are on, whether that be physical release, whether that's streaming. It feels almost like it's going to last longer on the internet in terms of accessibility for the most part. Because movies get lost, movies get destroyed, reels go missing. Think of all the countless movies that have been lost from the beginning of cinema to now. And it's just as likely to happen to anything we make as anyone else. So the internet kind of feels no less risky or no more risky than any of those other resources. Not that we've really, I think, ever thought about that when we put our movies out online. Yeah. I don't know if anyone wants to jump in there. It's kind of a half compiled thought, but at least a jumping off point.
Yeah. I don't necessarily know if there's a specific aspect that he's trying to get at, but like if it's like in regards to like business of like, okay, were we counting on something to be like sticking around for this amount of time or whatever? I don't know.
I think it's more to deal with like maybe your work doesn't last online forever, or work that you like online could be taken down. Like for a real example, Joel Haver's Island. That was a film that a lot of us saw on the YouTube sphere, and we connected with that, and we've kind of fell in love with it. And he recently took it down because of it was causing that film being public was causing some issues in his personal life. So he just figured, I'm going to do the right thing and I'm going to take it down. Which, from the artist standpoint, I respect. But I think from Thomas's viewpoint, his hypothetical is, well, gee, what if there was someone who like that was like their favorite movie of all time, and now they have nowhere to watch it? Like, how do we feel as like creators and viewers about all this stuff?
I mean, that's definitely a very good question, because I don't feel like, particularly with movies or TV shows, I've ran into that yet. For me personally, it's probably inevitable at some point. But in that regard, I try to keep a positive attitude, in the same way that everything in life, to an extent, can be fleeting. I mean, like, you never know, like maybe accidentally you'll leave the stove on when you go to work and then your house burns down and you have old pictures from like your great grandfather or whatever that are now ashes, and you don't have any access to them now because you didn't take copies of them, or whatever the case may be. That's fleeting too. Or a stage in life, that sort of thing. Like, oh yeah, I graduated high school, or yeah, I graduated college or something, and I really enjoyed that experience. Or, oh, I have this job, but now I got laid off for budget reasons, or whatever the case may be. And you found that experience incredibly valuable. The only thing you have left is the memory of it. And that can be both incredibly saddening, but at the same time it still holds that value to you, despite not being able to necessarily access it in the same way that you once were able to. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it
I don't know if that got really existential or something.
No, it does. And I think that reminds me of, so like from a filmmaker's perspective, this is going to be I'm not going to do the whole thing, but we were having talks about coalescence a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
And there were points where your schedule kind of relied, the movie hinged upon, if I cannot film on this day, then that means the movie's over and it's done.
Yeah.
And what I was telling you is kind of like, was trying to look at the positive things. And this is kind of my outlook with everything, because I don't know if you two do this. Whenever I'm making anything, like even right now with La Danza, I keep it in the back of my head of like, I could die tomorrow and no one would see this movie, or the footage could all get destroyed. I have backups in 3 different places, but hypothetically, maybe like it all gets lost, like in a fire, or something happens to one of the stars or something, like, and no one would see the movie. And those are things that I think about. What would I do in those situations? How would I react? Like, what does that mean for the movie? And I kind of come to a similar place. And I don't know if this is exactly what you were saying, Zach, but like every life is all fleeting. We're making art. Art is important. I believe that, but on the other side, art is kind of selfish for the artist to an extent, because art is important. It's meaningful, but we could be doctors, right? We could be firemen. Like there's a lot of more, I guess, jobs that are more meaningful and impactful in terms of keeping people safe and healthy and protected. There's a lot of jobs that need to be done, and we choose to do what makes us feel happy. So it's this weird paradox, right? Of art can change the world and will move people, because I've been moved and changed by art and cinema and stuff like that. So I know what it can do to people, but I also can recognize that, like, in a post-apocalyptic society, I'm useless, right? Like, because like, I know how to farm. I'm a doctor. I can hunt. And I'm like, I'm a filmmaker. Like, that means nothing. Like, it's our skill sets and our art form everything is kind of fleeting.
Mm-hmm.
And all that to say is, a few weeks ago, when you were kind of looking at it like, gee, I might not be able to finish my movie, and kind of I kind of look at it from that big perspective of, like, everything's fleeting. It's just a movie. And what I was trying to get at was, like, even if no one sees your movie, you still made it, the movie. Like, the movie's done, and that movie's a part of your DNA as a filmmaker. It's just a matter of, will anybody else see that movie?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for La Danza and Coalescence, say we both die tomorrow, no one sees it again. We still made the movie. We went through that experience of making the movie. And, it's a part of us, that experience. It's just a matter of no one else will ever see those movies.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of like, I think our job as filmmakers, to an extent, we have to love the process as much as we love the end result, if not more, because sometimes we're disappointed by the end result. The end result can get lost or destroyed or forgotten. But I think we don't do it necessarily because we just want to finish the movie necessarily. We do it because we like doing it, because it's what makes us happy. Mm-hmm. So that's not really an answer to Thomas's question, but I mean, that's kind of how I look at it to an extent. And I think that I kind of accept that, oh, maybe YouTube will crash tomorrow and all movies will be lost. Great, I still have backups. I'll just put it to, like, Pirate Bay or archive.org or any other kind of website. I'll find what I can, and I'll find a way to get it out there. I have VHS copies of Video Carnage. I'll go donate it to a Goodwill. Like, the movie, I think that our movies will exist in some form for a long time, depending on how technology shakes out and all that stuff. But
they'll probably outlive us.
I think it will. I would agree with that. I think our movies will outlive us. It's just a matter of how easily accessible they'll be. And again, if you come at it from, like, hey, I've made the movies, just a matter of, will anybody else see it? Because we don't make it for anybody else, we make it for us. I mean, I think that's the important thing. So how do I deal with the internet being fleeting? Is, like, I kind of just try to forget about it. And that's the honest truth right there.
And now is the best time.
Yeah.
Tomorrow takes care of itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what a good discussion to go into the new year with.
Yeah. The meaninglessness, the fleetlessness of life and all. Yeah, I don't know. Thomas, he asks great questions. Love that guy.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Thomas. It was good hearing from you again.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll
have to do it. Honestly, Thomas, I'm serious about this. We'll have to schedule, like, we'll have to have you on the podcast. It'd be great to, like, pick your brain on what you're doing and what you're up to these days. So expect a DM from us at some point in time in the future, because we'd love to talk with you more face to face on video call or something.
Yeah,
it would be fun.
Do it for real.
Yeah. But that is it for our last video, our last podcast of 2022. What can we say to all of our viewers and subscribers, or people who've supported us this far?
I mean, just
humongous thank you. Yeah.
All 1,003 of you.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, everyone, for your support. It means the world to us. Mm-hmm. If our movies have touched you, have moved you in any sort of way, if our videos, you've gotten some enjoyment from them, please tell your friends about us, tell your family about us, share our work. I say this a lot, but it's true. It really doesn't take that much of your time. but it means the world to us that someone out there will be willing to share, a stranger out there would be willing to share our stuff with the people that they care about. So if you like what we do here, please tell your friends about Doom Productions. We look forward to making a ton of more awesome stuff for you all next year in 2023. And so with that being said, this is the last you'll hear from us for the year. So we hope everyone has a great end of the year, good new year, and we will see you in 2023.